Forest Lodge Orchard is believed to be the world's first 100% electric, zero fossil fuel orchard. And while owner Mike Casey readily acknowledges his lack of experience in horticulture, he more than makes up for it with his visionary can-do approach. Mike is using his accumulated business and software industry expertise and sharing his knowledge and passion for decarbonising our primary industries through NZ Zero, a non-profit organisation he began while getting his cherry orchard underway.
I'd never really been that involved in farming before. In fact, this is the first farm I've ever really stepped foot on. But I sold my software business in Sydney. My wife and I always wanted to move to this region because we believe it's the most beautiful region in New Zealand. And so when we had that capital come in, we decided to move back. We were looking to buy the standard house in Wanaka and found this farm 30 minutes south of Wanaka with exactly the kind of house that we were looking for, with 9 hectares of land for the same price as a standard house in Wanaka. And so we decided, why not give it a crack? We ended up planting cherries. Cherries are something that my wife and Rebecca and I both really love. And then we started to look at, well, what can we do in order to be a little bit different from the way things are currently being done? We wanted to plant trees because they would start sequestering carbon, but we actually didn't realise how little carbon they actually sequestered. They sort of sequestered far less carbon than the amount of carbon we would be required to emit in order to run a productive cherry orchard using existing technology. And so we just started on a bit of a quest to start sourcing, since we had a blank canvas, sourcing technology locally from around the world, and if it didn't exist, we would make it in order to eliminate as much emissions as we could. Never really the plan to go 100% fossil fuel free, but as more and more technology came on board as we were growing and establishing our orchard, it was in September 2021 that we finally were able to declare that we could run a commercial cherry orchard with zero fossil fuels consumed. We're in the shed on the orchard. You might be able to hear a little bit of humming at the moment. That's actually the inverters going to work again because it sounds like the spot price has gone up again, and so we're currently exporting power back to the grid. So the average spot price over the last 5 days has been sitting at about 3 cents, and I've actually been charging my batteries a lot lower than that, probably at under a cent. But right now you can see the spot price is at 37.5 cents. So I'm taking all that power that I bought really, really cheaply, and I'm actually throwing that back out to the grid at the moment to create another revenue stream. We didn't start with any blueprint. What actually happened was we just started by starting to replace small amounts of things at a time, and then just going on that journey, always looking for the electric option instead of the diesel option where it was available. That sometimes meant spending more money, knowing that we're probably operationally going to earn that money back over time. And it just got to the point eventually where we realised that we could actually achieve going zero fossil fuel. So it's not what we set out to do. We weren't here to preach or show people how to do it, or tell people what to do. But we've ended up being this perfect use case where we can show people sort of how to do it, how to begin to decarbonise, how to electrify, and most importantly for farmers, how to actually save some money. We train our trees in a 2D system called UFO, and what that does is it creates a giant hedge of cherries that goes all the way down there, which makes it a lot easier to do all of our operations on. One of the big things with stone fruit that everybody uses, big pieces of equipment, is called a frost fighting fan. They use a hugely significant amount of power, and there was no local distributor that sold electric frost fighting fans. And so with the help of an ECA grant, we actually imported these fans sight unseen. The big thing is they probably only cost about $3 an hour to run rather than $80, $90, $100 an hour to run. And when we started our orchard in 2019, there wasn't a lot available in terms of electric vehicles for on-farm use. What we did is we actually imported 2 of these golf carts from China, and they have been probably, out of everything that we've bought on the orchard, these have been the most sensible in terms of cost, as well as their practicalities. They're very easy for people to drive, they're very safe, they don't go very fast, and the most important thing of all is we charge them using the power that we generate ourselves, so there's actually no cost and no fumes. These carts are out in the orchard all day long. This solar panel is constantly keeping those batteries topped up, and every time it comes back at the end of the day, it's always 98, 99% full. So this is a 1990s Hilux. Bought it really recently. The main reason being I love four-wheel driving, but now that I'm a fully electric orchardist, I can't really be seen four-wheel driving around central Otago. And so what I plan to do is actually convert this and electrify it. We're going to be putting a Nissan Leaf motor in, a ZE0 E57 motors. So this little Leaf motor at full voltage is going to do about 275 kilowatts. What's that in horsepower? Maybe 350 horsepower, something like that, which is more power than any Hilux has ever had through it before. So my concern isn't actually whether the motor is too weak, it's actually more if the differentials on the Hilux are too weak because of the amount of power that we're going to be pushing through it. And so that's what this trial and error and this conversion is all about, see how well it performs. One of the big roles that I'm looking at doing is sort of communicating to other farmers that funding is actually available and is quite easy to access. There's a bit of work involved with doing it, but work that you would want to be involved as a taxpayer to make sure that they're not just frivolously giving out money. But as long as you have a decarbonising New Zealand farming, there are opportunities available in that space. So EECA, the Energy Efficiency Conservation Authority, gave us 40% of our 40% funding towards our electric frost fighting fans. They also funded the commercial electric tractor coming from California, hopefully sometime mid next year. And then the SFFF fund through MPI actually funded the development of our sprayer, which is really cool. That's the one that runs off our current home-built electric tractor. And then AgMart actually has come to really helped us out as well by providing us with a market research grant so we can actually test how our cherries are performing in the market compared to other incumbent cherries. My job from here is I want NZ0 to be something where we build the on-ramp and we build the highway and get it all ready for other farmers to join us on this journey. And so what that means is I want NZ0 to, it's a certification that consumers can trust, and therefore if they can trust it and they're really climate conscious, they're actually willing to pay a premium on our product, which returns us a higher amount of money back to the gate as gate returns. And if we can achieve a 15% premium, which so far we've been able to achieve off our first crop last year, and then we'll have to look at next year as well as to how that performs. But if we can achieve that 15%, we're probably looking at bringing that 7-year payback period down to under 18 months. And that's super exciting. So that's where I see the future of electrification is if we can make farmers who want to go down this path make more money, then it's going to encourage more and more people to do so. And that's how we decarbonise farming in New Zealand.